How we doing, everybody? Back again after a week off. It is your boy, Young Pastey, here to bring you the weekly UFC picks this week for UFC 310, Pantoja versus Asakura. Yo, I got some thoughts on this fight and thoughts on a lot of other fights. So stay tuned to see all of the picks. Now, to recap last week, it was all right. We went 6-4. Couple of the dogs didn't come through for us. Couple of the splits didn't come through for us. All is good though, because overall for UFC 2024, we are 90-39. We have 2 weeks left, guys. This week and next week, and that is it for UFC 2024. So let's end this with a bang. Before we go over the picks, if you guys could, please throw me a like, subscribe to the channel, throw a comment down on the video, and if you can, share the video to your friends. I would really, really appreciate it. Your support goes a long way. If you're looking for the bets, that is in a separate video which drops on Wednesday nights. And I do have a new Patreon. It's free at the moment, so link will be in the description. Go check on the Patreon. That's where I put all of my bets out. Sometimes I put my bets in before the bets video so you can see when I get them and get the best odds. So, to begin, UFC 310. Let's effing go. The main event. We have Alexandre Pantoja, the cannibal, versus Kai Asakura. The pick for me is going to be Pantoja. And I said I had some thoughts on this fight and a lot of fights. And let me just say, I am very disappointed in the UFC for allowing this guy to make his UFC debut in a fucking title fight. Come on now. You have to put some respect on this division. You have to work your way up to the title fight. I mean, he was, Kai is a good fighter. He was fighting in Rizin, which is a Japanese fighting organization, which, has some pretty decent competition, but nothing as the likes of the UFC. So it's very surprising to me that this is even, a fight to begin with. I feel like he needed a couple fights to get to this moment here, to prove himself. But to break down the fight, 5-round fight, I think Pantoja gets this done. Now, Asakura usually fights at 135, so he's going to have to drop down to 125. This is a flyweight fight, so, how's that weight cut going to, affect him? Because usually he's fighting at 135. He is much bigger than Pantoja. Much, much bigger. I will give you that. Height and reach advantage for sure. But you're going up against a UFC champ in Pantoja who's been through thick and thin. He has defeated the likes of everybody. I mean, striking, great. Ground game, even better. And that's where I anticipate this fight going. Pantoja's going to get this to the ground one way or another. Now, I did see Kai Asakura. He was sparring Marab, and he was defending his takedowns pretty well, but it was like 30 seconds of it, right? I mean, you're going to fight Pantoja for 5 full rounds, 5-minute rounds. So I do not see. I just don't see him winning. Pantoja has much more experience. You can see, yes, 21-4, but again, UFC experience is much superior to any other experience in any other league. So I will just say that. So Pantoja has a wrestling advantage. He's good in the striking as well, and he'll use his striking to close in and get a takedown on Kai. Now, it's going to be a bigger octagon, so I feel like that will be in favor of Kai. But at the end of the day, I still think Pantoja is able to get this fight to the ground and get some nice strikes, keep it on the ground, get some nice ground control. I see at least 3 rounds of that. I think he gets Kai down with ease. I think it might take him a round to feel it out. But after that, I think we're good. I don't see Pantoja getting knocked out either. And Kai is preaching that he's going to be, he's going to knock out Pantoja. He's like, if he makes one mistake, I'm going to catch him. And that's true. You could. Everyone has a puncher's chance in the UFC. But Pantoja has a good chin. He can take strikes. He's an elite wrestler. He has great striking. This is going to be a welcome to the UFC moment, and you are going to go, he'll probably stay in the top 10 rankings, which, look, I think is deserved, right? He is a good fighter. He's a great fighter. I just don't think he's on Pantoja's level. So Pantoja's the pick. And we move on to the next fight. Another great fight. This is our co-main event. This is a 5-round fight. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Garry. Nomad versus the future Ian Garry. Yeah, this is going to be my hot take. Rise the flames. This is my hot take of the week, guys. We're going with Ian Garry. We're going with the future. Now, yes, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this pick. And that's okay. We have the battle of undefeateds here, right? 15-0, 18-0. Now, I'm going to give Shavkat his flowers right now. Impeccable striker, impeccable finisher, impeccable sub game. I mean, he's a beast, okay? This dude comes out like a bat out of hell. He is fierce. He's violent. He's fucking vicious. I heard the other day he eats horses. This dude eats horses. Crazy. Anywho, I think Ian Garry is going to be able to withstand the storm of Shavkat. I think he has a good enough chin and a good enough defense to keep him away. And this is a 5-round fight, guys. I think Ian Garry is going to take this the full 5 rounds and beat up on Shavkat starting in late round 2. I think he's able to get this to the ground, actually, and make it a super boring fight and ultimately get the decision win. Shavkat's dangerous. Could he knock out Ian Garry? Of course he could. And I know a lot of people are on that side. And I know a lot of people hate Ian Garry for what he is and all his antics and his personal life situation. And I'm not going to get into that too much. This is for fights, guys. This is for me picking the fight. Okay? I don't care if he's a cuck. I'm going with Ian Garry. He is the pick for this fight. He's going to make it boring. He's going to be able to get to the ground or get some boring clinch work on the cage. I think his striking is underrated. I think that, look, I know that Shavkat has technically a 3.5 reach advantage, but Ian Garry's taller. His legs are longer. He is lankier and longer than Shavkat, in my opinion. It's definitely a hot take. I know a lot of people are going to be on the other side and not on my side, and that's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you if you pick Shavkat. But plus 290 for Ian Garry. Almost a 3-1 underdog, and that number's been climbing and climbing. When I originally wrote this, it was plus 265. So, Ian Garry's the pick. My hot take of the week. It's going to be a good fight nevertheless. So, we move on to the next fight. We have Ciryl Gane Bonganon. What is that? Bongaman. I don't know how to say it. Versus Alexandre Volkov. My pick for this fight is Ciryl Gane. This fight's already happened. This fight already went 5 rounds before. Ciryl Gane got the win, and he looked amazing in it. And his 2 losses since, which there is only 2 losses on his record, are to John Jones and Francis Ngannou. So am I going to give him hate for the losing in those fights? No, I'm not. Alexandre Volkov has been getting better and shown improvement in his last few fights. He beat up, what's his face, Sergey? Double checking. Yeah, he beat up Sergey Pavlovich for 3 rounds and looked amazing doing it. But, why is this rematch needed and what has changed? Ciryl Gane just fought better competition than Alexandre Volkov, and I don't think that his skills have declined at all. Alexandre Volkov has definitely, I think, improved a little bit since the last fight. His leg kicks, his leg kicks are nasty and they add up. But I think Ciryl Gane has more power, and he showed in his last fight that he can beat Alexandre Volkov. And I think he does it again with ease, and that's why he's a minus 330 favorite. Plus 255 for Alexandre Volkov. And look, a lot of these fights, I think the odds and the lines are pretty wide, to be honest with you. I think this fight's a little closer than the odds say. Alexandre Volkov is a sneaky underdog, so if you pick him, I'm not going to be mad at you for it. But my pick for the fight is going to be Ciryl Gane. And we move on to the next fight. Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, God Lover, versus Kron Gracie. This is Kron Gracie's UFC debut. Oh, just kidding, not his UFC debut. What am I saying? He just keeps up going up against tough competition. He has a very small record, a small sample size, 5-2. His last 2 fights, losses, hasn't looked good in. Bryce Mitchell is an elite wrestler, an elite fighter in this division. I don't know why this fight was scheduled. I just feel like he's going to beat up on Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell is now fighting down in competition when I feel like he should be fighting up. This is a gimme fight for Bryce after getting brutally KO'd. Brutally KO'd. Was that last fight or the fight before? Last fight. Yeah, that was really nasty. Go look up that last Bryce Mitchell fight versus Emmett. Yeah, it was bad. It was one of those knockouts where you're like, I hope dude's okay. But I don't see Kron Gracie getting the knockout on here. Bryce Mitchell's an elite wrestler. This fight's going to get to the ground. Bryce Mitchell's going to beat up Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell by sub is a real good play as well. It's a gimme fight. It's a layup, right? Bryce Mitchell's a nice pick, a nice little parlay piece. That's why, again, my 600 favorite. That's why he's a super big favorite on this fight. And I agree with the odds. They're justified. Give me Bryce Mitchell for this fight. And we move on to another featherweight fight. Hey, we got Nate the Train Landwehr versus Dooho Choi. My pick for this fight is going to be the Train. Give me Nate the Train Landwehr. My dude is tough. My dude is gritty. My dude can throw hands. He has an iron fist. Dooho is tough. Dooho's sneaky. But I feel like he's too inactive. Look at his fights history, man. 16, 18, 19, 23, 20. You're fighting one fight a year and then had a 4-year layoff. Come back to draw to Kyle Nelson. Got a nice win over Billy Algeo. That was a very sick KO. So I'm not going to discredit you for that, but I don't understand why these odds are where they're at. I really don't. Nate the Train has much more UFC experience. I think he's gritty and tough. I would give the ground advantage to Dooho if he gets on top somehow. But man, Nate the Train does not give up. This dude will fight for your money thick and thin. This guy will fight until he has no energy left in his fucking body. My dude is a dog, even though he's favored in the fight. And that's why I picked him. Give me Nate Landwehr, okay? Give me Nate Landwehr. With confidence. In this line, again, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Maybe I'm getting fooled. Maybe it's a trap line. But when I originally wrote this, he was at minus 170. He's at minus 140 now. So I think that's a great play. Might see it on my bet section. You never know. A little preview. But the pick for the fight's Nate the Train. And we move on to the prelims. And a fight I'm super, super not excited for. Dominick Reyes, the Devastator, versus Anthony Smith, Lionheart. Man, give me Dominick Reyes. Fuck Anthony Smith, man. Fuck Anthony Smith. He is such... Oh, my gosh. You're washed in the UFC at this point, bro. Just stop. All right, go to the commentating side, okay? It looks like you're doing better over there. You need to quit fighting. I could say the same to Dominick Reyes. I just feel like this fight's unnecessary and not needed. I think the odds are way too wide. Minus 360 for Dominick Reyes, plus 270 for Anthony Smith. Honestly, I think this is more of like a minus 200 for Reyes. Plus 140, 150, 160 for Smith. Yeah. Anthony Smith's washed. Told you guys, I'm not super excited for this fight. Definitely won't be betting on this fight. 100% won't be betting on this fight. Picks Dominick Reyes. I guess with confidence. Anthony Smith is just washed to me at this point, so I think Dominick Reyes still has a little bit in him to get the job done. I'd say give me Dominick Reyes by decision. Nasty leg kicks, more volume. Move on to the next fight. Another one I'm super excited for. We have Vicente Luque. What's this dude's nickname? The Silent Assassin? Ooh, nasty. Okay. Versus Themba Gorimbo. The answer. Yo, I picked Themba last time. I asked you the question. He was the answer. And he's the pick and the answer for this fight, too. Give me Themba Gorimbo. Give me Themba Gorimbo. He's going to get Vicente Luque to the ground and make it boring. He's going to beat him up on the ground for 3.5 rounds. I think he has better striking. He's much longer and lengthier. 6'1" and 77-inch reach. I know it says 5'11", 75.5 for Vicente. You would think that's not too much, but you'll see in the octagon that Themba is bigger and lengthier, and that he's going to use that to his advantage. He has a much bigger octagon to work with. And it's tough because I like Vicente. And it's crazy. I call him a UFC vet, and he's only 33. He's been through tons of fights in the UFC. He's gritty. He's tough. He's Brazilian. It's hard for me to pick against him, but I feel like he's heading toward washland as well. He hasn't looked very good in his previous fights. He had some brain injury, which honestly, ever since he came back from that, he just hasn't looked the same. I think, again, Themba's lengthier. He's going to be able to get him to the ground. His striking is nice. He has a nice jab that he'll throw out there to, get more volume and punch his face up a little bit. You know what I mean? But yeah, Themba's going to get this to the ground, make it boring, beat him up on the ground. Nice ground control time. Cage work, if anything, Vicente. Vicente's tough. Themba has a big fucking head. He could get KO'd, but I don't see it happening. We are way too early for any of those odds yet. I don't even think I have any rounds odds. No. But again, we'll go over that in the bets video. Any of those plays I like. But I think for this fight here, we got Themba by decision. Minus 180 is not a bad number. Not a bad number. Good parlay leg, or even money lineable too. So Themba's the pick. We move on to the next fight. Oh man, another featherweight fight. We have Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. Funk Master Fresh. Oh my god, I had a tough time picking this fight. I went back and forth picking Aljamain, picking Movsar, picking Aljamain, picking Movsar. But my pick for the fight's going to be Movsar Evloev. I was this close to picking you, Aljamain. This close. But I ran back the Peter Yan's fights, which I think Evloev is much more similar to. And, oh man, I hate when people get knocked down on the ground, they lay on their fucking butt with their legs on the ground, try to invite you to come and engage on the ground with them. That shit throws me the wrong way. And Aljamain did that a countless amount of times in those fights against Peter Yan and got taken down by Peter Yan himself. Now, there were 2 rounds of dominance from Aljamain in those 2 fights. 2 rounds of dominance where he just completely controlled Yan on the ground, and it was nasty and got some nice ground and pound in. But Movsar has really great scrambles, really good get-up game, takedown defense similar to similar to Peter Yan. Aljamain can strike too, okay? So don't get it twisted, right? Aljamain is a good striker as well, but that's not his forte, right? He's a better wrestler. I think he's a better wrestler and has better ground game than striking game. But Movsar, Russian, tough, gritty, built, power. It's almost like he's a younger, better Peter Yan. Can't believe I'm saying that. But I think he keeps his zeros. I think he goes to 19-0. Evloev is the pick. But again, I told y'all, I was this fucking close to picking Aljamain this close, and I still kind of want to, but that doesn't mean that I won't bet on him. So make sure that you guys check on the bet section to see what's up with that. We move on to the next fight. Another fight I'm super excited about. Man, they're giving us some bangers on this card. Come on now. We got Randy Brown. Rude boy. Tell me rude boy. Come give it up. Give me. Versus Bryan, the Butcher Battle. Great fight. Pick for the fight was another one where I was like going back and forth, kind of like the Aljamain fight, but I ended up picking Bryan Battle. Man, that moment in UFC Paris where he was just talking shit to the whole crowd while he was getting booed was epic. It was amazing. It was kind of the tipping point for me to pick him in this fight. He's tough. He's got a little bit of a swagger to him. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Randy Brown is nice. Randy Brown's a little bit of a UFC vet at this point. Been through thick and thin. And it was tough for me to pick against him. And the odds were much wider about a week ago. Randy Brown was damn near plus 250 favorite. People are realizing, and that's a good price to hop on if you're going to pick on Randy Brown versus an up-and-comer like Bryan Battle. But Bryan Battle has good takedown defense. His striking is very nice. Power. Great jab. Throws, nice body shots and mixes them in. Mixes those body shots in with the head strikes there. He's not much of a leg kicker, which I think he needs to keep an eye out for with Randy Brown, because Randy Brown will sneak those kicks in. A degenerate play would be Randy Brown by sub. I don't know the odds yet. They haven't dropped, but I think that's something to look at. Something that is very likely. But Bryan Battle is the pick. We got the Butcher, man. I told you that last moment in UFC Paris was epic, and he beat a good striker in Kevin Chissette. I think that he is live for the KO. I think he's live for the KO. However, if I had to throw a bet on a prop play, I think Bryan Battle by decision. I think Randy Brown's tough enough to last 3 rounds with him. Definitely. So Bryan Battle's the pick. Great fight. Again, I'm super excited for UFC 310. We got a lot of good fights. So, and we're just heading to the, we just finished the prelims. We're in the early prelims now. We still got some bangers in here. So we move on to the next fight. Chris Weidman versus Eryk, your boy Anders. Now, this fight got canceled. It was supposed to happen 2 times ago? Two cards ago? Anders had to drop out, I guess, because of some, sickness or stomach issue or something. I've already broken this fight down. We'll do a quick breakdown here again, though. My pick's going to be Chris Weidman. I'm going with the former champion. He has much more experience and much more superior experience in the UFC than Eryk has. I know he's 3 years older and is coming off a pretty nasty leg injury, but he looked pretty good in his last fight. And I got him here in this fight. I think he mixes in good leg kicks. He has more volume and ultimately cranks out the decision versus Anders. So the pick for this fight is Chris Weidman. I did a full breakdown of this fight 2 cards ago. So if you want to check it out and want a bigger breakdown of it, go check out the last video. Chris Weidman's the pick. And we move on to the next fight I'm super excited about. It's just like every single one I'm so excited about. They're good. They're great. We got Cody Durden, custom made, versus Joshua Van, the Fearless. Great fight. And I was this close to picking Cody Durden, but I got Joshua Van. Cody Durden's very, very, very hittable. And I do think he will win the first round of this fight because Joshua Van is a slow starter for some reason. I think he needs to get hit in the face for him to wake up to start the fight. But I think Joshua Van is live for the KO here. Very live for the KO here. I know he's a little bit smaller than Durden. Durden, check the weights and the weigh-ins on this. I just have a feeling he may not look good on the scale. He does fight a lot of his fights at a higher weight class than flyweight, so. But I think Joshua Van is able to pump out the volume and ultimately get the KO. I think Durden is very hittable, man. He lacks striking defense. He looks good in the first round and comes out hot and then just fucking declines from there. And it's tough because if Joshua Van can withstand that craziness of Cody Durden for the first 4 or 5 minutes and get into the second, third round, that's where he shines and thrives. He'll pour on the volume there. He's a pressure boxer. He's going to be able to look, and this is key. He needs to establish that pressure. If he's on his back foot, it's not going to look good for Joshua Van. That's not his forte, fighting from the back foot. He needs to be moving forward. So that's very important. Footwork and pressure is very important and key for Joshua Van to win here. Cody Durden is tough. And he was on a little bit of a run. He was ranked at one point. I got Joshua Van, man. Takedown defense as well. Cody Durden will shoot for takedowns. Joshua Van's good at takedown defense. But we move on to the next fight of oldies. We have Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. We have the Maverick versus Payne. And we got Max Payne Griffin for the pick, man. Just want to pull this up. This fight history is very important to look at with Michael. All right. He had a 2-year layoff between 2021 to 2023. And he's losing to, Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, Kevin Holland. That's pretty good competition to lose against. But it's the way you're losing. You got subbed by Vicente. You got subbed by Kevin Holland. You're on a decision with Sean Brady. Okay, you subbed Tony Ferguson in August. But, Tony Ferguson is done, bro. That's not even a notable win. Do not put any stock into that. To me, you're coming off 3 losses and a layup win. Max Griffin, on the other hand, let's take a look at his fight history. He's cranking out wins. All right? Okay, yeah, he lost to Neil Magny and Michael Morales. But that is good competition. All right? He beat Jeremiah Wells. He beat Tim Means. He beat this Condit guy. So he's got some wins in his back pocket in the past few years. I think he has more power. I think even though he's a little bit older, he's going to look younger in the octagon. I just think that Chiesa is washed at this point. I think he should have hung up the gloves, to be honest with you. And I'm sorry, Michael, if you're hearing this. Probably not. One day you might. But, bro, your time is up in the UFC. Max Payne's going to get this decision on you. I wouldn't say you're going to get beat up, but he is going to win the fight. So Max Payne Griffin is the pick. And we move on to this next fight here. All right, we got father versus son. We got Clay Guida, the Carpenter, versus Chase Hooper, the Dream. Plus 650 for Clay Guida, minus 1150 for Chase Hooper. Look at the age difference of this fight, guys. Clay Guida is 42 years old. Chase Hooper is 25. Clay Guida could literally be Chase's daddy. But the son is going to beat up the daddy. We got Chase Hooper in this fight. I mean, come on now. You're 42, bro, and you're washed. And you're going up against a Chase Hooper who has looked pretty good in his last few fights against great competition. I don't want to get to... I would not bet on this fight. Maybe Chase Hooper within the distance, maybe. If you think Clay Guida's tough enough to pump out 3 rounds, maybe by decision for Chase. But in no world do I see Clay Guida winning. Now look, it's the UFC. Anything can happen. We saw it last time with fucking Wang Kong. Got subbed by Gabriela Fernandez. And what did I say? I said there's no way that Gabriela Fernandez is going to win this fight. And look what fucking happened. So you really never know with the UFC. But man, it's hard to discredit this age difference, the reach advantage, the experience gone up against Chase Hooper all day. We move on to the first fight of this card and the last fight of this pick breakdown. If you haven't and you gotten this far, please subscribe, like, share, comment. I'd appreciate it. Do it for the pace, please. We got Kennedy Nchuku versus Lucas Brzeski. My pick for this fight's Kennedy Nchuku. We got the African Savage. Brzeski's nickname is the Bull. But we got the African Savage in this fight. He really is an African Savage. Ever since he moved, he looked pretty good in his move up to heavyweight. Now, he was fighting an injured Chris Barnett. Dude injured himself, hyping himself up. Oh, that fight kind of made me mad. Because Chris Barnett was live to win. And his odds were juicy AF. Anyway. Kennedy has a huge reach advantage. He's much bigger than Lucas. Lucas is chinny. Kennedy's going to knock him out. And that'll be it. I wouldn't say Lucas Brzeski stands no chance. I would say if he wins, it's going to be by decision. Or Kennedy gassing out. That's a big issue that he's had. But at heavyweight now, at his basically just natural weight, might not be an issue. So Kennedy is the pick for me. Bigger, faster, stronger. I think he knocks out Lucas. I would say probably under 1.5 or 2.5 rounds is a good play for this fight too. I don't see this fight lasting too long. I think it's a fun one to kick the card off too. Everyone loves to see a nice heavyweight knockout, right? So Kennedy Nchuku is the pick. And that's UFC 310. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your support. The bets video drops on Wednesday night. Please make sure to check out the link in the description. My Patreon is free. That's where I post all of my bets. They're going to be posted before the bets video drops. So make sure you check them out. If you like them, get them in because the odds always change before fight night. So we are out, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the bets video.